Hello, how are you? If you're good, great, I'm happy. If not, I'm glad you're here. I was thinking today that people are weird. That's kind of a running commentary I have about this channel is that I don't understand humans. I think the older I get, the less I understand about people. But I guess I want to talk today specifically about words, and more specifically, bad words. Now, there's a handful of bad words that we're just not supposed to say. In fact, they're so bad that most of the time when we discuss them, we identify them by their first letter. You have the C word, you have the F word. Actually, you have two F words depending on what you're doing. You have the R word that people were trying to make acceptable again, but it's really not. And then you have the N word. And these are all words that, well, specifically the N word, if you even utter it, it could end your career. It could cancel you. It could label you something that you're not, simply for uttering a word. How weird is that? Now, I get it. Specifically, the N word has so much rich history of hatred and bigotry and just evil. So I understand why that is so protected. But it's acceptable if you're of a certain group of people. And I'm not sure I understand why. If something is so bad that, depending on who you are, if you say it, even if you just say it, not even to someone or about someone or something, or you just said it, how is that word so powerful, yet an entire group of people can pretty much use it at will and it's fine? Maybe I don't understand why it's fine for some people and not for all people. It would be my wish that the word goes away forever. That would be nice if people didn't have to feel the need to use words to belittle people of a whole group or even individuals. It doesn't matter. I guess the point I'm trying to make is this woman who was an HGTV reality television star. She built houses or whatever, fixed houses. There's a big story where she uttered this word and it was kind of like an off-the-cuff thing. She suddenly realized that she said it, immediately felt remorseful for saying it, and the whole internet is going insane saying that she is a racist and she needs to never work again and all of this. Now listen, I am not defending her. I am not justifying that what she said is okay, because it's not. But I think there's a big difference between uttering the word and then using that word almost as a weapon if you're in a confrontation with somebody. I think one is forgivable and one is not. And along those lines is we give so much power to these words, but if we have the same intensity and use these words to the same effect, but substitute a word for something else, which is acceptable for a 7-year-old to say, but we have that same intention, that same hatred, using it at somebody, why is that more acceptable? Sometimes I think about the religious right have a problem with GD. And instead of that, maybe they say, gosh darn. Well, what's the difference between those two things? If you feel a certain way and you say gosh darn or gosh darn it instead of the GD, you're not taking the Lord's name in vain, but in the same breath, you're thinking, if you believe, then you believe that God knows what's in your heart. Either you're taking the Lord's name in vain or you're not. And the word, I don't understand why the word is important. You feel it or you don't feel it, you say it or you don't say it. Saying it doesn't mean you feel it, and feeling it doesn't mean you say it. it's a weird sort of thing, and that works for all words. You know, like if you call somebody a weirdo, is that different than calling them an a-hole? I mean, vocally, like to somebody walking by, it sounds differently, but to you and that other person, you're directing a negative thing toward them by calling them a weirdo. Or maybe it's joking. Maybe you're joking with somebody and you say, "Oh, you're such an a-hole." Well, apparently you're not supposed to say that, but if you say, "Oh, you're such a weirdo," suddenly that's acceptable. Like, I'm very confused. And this isn't just about words. This is more about how people interact with each other. You know, instead of saying the F word, people were saying flip for a while. Like, that is flippin' awesome. Like, why is there some penalty you pay in your own mind for saying a curse word? So you make an alternative for it. And you kind of make something up, but the intention is still there. It's the same. You know, just because a child would say it and it wouldn't be a big deal doesn't mean it's not a big deal because of the situation that you're saying it in. I know I'm getting into the weeds here, and I'm kind of doing this circular logic thing, but I guess I'm just really confused as to why we have chosen as a society to make these certain words forbidden to say, and another tier of words that we can say but they're bad. And then there's another tier of words that we have replaced these other tiers with that is somehow perfectly acceptable to say, but it all means the same thing. I guess I'm just confused. Words are neat. I think language is interesting, but I'm never going to understand people. I'm never going to understand why we choose to label certain words as completely off limits. And if we know somebody or if we hear somebody use those certain words, then we immediately assign them traits that they may or may not believe. I just think that we should be able to communicate to each other in a way that doesn't devolve into the need to use all of these words that are offensive and are unacceptable. Or I kind of wish we could evolve to the point where we could use any word we want in any instance that we want and not have to be called certain things because we've used those words. We should be able to communicate in any way we need to get our points across. I just don't understand how and why we've determined certain words to be the cancel words, you know, the words that can end careers, end relationships. So in the meantime, try not to use these words that we only identify by their first letter. Try to be a better human. Try to be a better conflict negotiator. Try to be a better problem solver. Maybe once we all start communicating like adults, maybe we'll start listening to each other. I'll see you tomorrow.